TikTok is ruining your life. Here's why. Scrolling all started on TikTok. This idea that you could have vertical videos and you could just scroll to another one and the algorithm will just spit you out another video, that was completely new and was invented basically by TikTok. TikTok is basically a drug because every single time you start scrolling, it hijacks your brain. It uses your own biology against you to keep you scrolling, to keep you distracted for as long as possible. And if you just think about this, like TikTok is a multi-billion-dollar company. They have put so much money into their algorithm. They have perfected it to the point where it is so sophisticated that it can make you distracted even when you don't want it to. That you can find yourself scrolling for hours and hours without realizing it. We've all had that experience where you just start scrolling and think, oh wait, I'm gonna just check out a couple of videos, or I wanna go look something up real quick, and you end up scrolling for hours, and it's like you woke up from a trance after because you had no idea that you were actually doing that. You didn't realize that a couple hours had passed. I want you to look at this video, and you can see that this kid is just compulsively scrolling in his sleep, even though he doesn't have anything in his hand. And when you watch this video, you're probably thinking like I did about how the next generation is completely doomed. But how are we much different when we are basically unconsciously scrolling the same exact thing? We might as well be sleeping when we're scrolling. Like this kid who's scrolling and doesn't even know it. There have been many times where while we were scrolling, we didn't even know we were doing it. Think about that right now. There have been many times where you have scrolled and you weren't aware of it. You were literally unconsciously doing it, not thinking about it. It was mindless. You had no idea that you were doing it while you were doing it. Scrolling and TikTok, it's so much more powerful than you think. It's such a potent drug. It's like the online version of cocaine. And if I were to ask you right now to just think of 5 TikTok videos that you've ever watched, you probably can only name like 3. And even if you can recall 5 videos, you probably aren't even able to remember 0.1% of the videos that you've watched. Because in our lifetime, me and you, we've scrolled tens of thousands of times, hundreds of thousands of times. The reason we forget so much of it, the reason that we do it unconsciously, is because scrolling is non-linear. There is no storyline with scrolling. There is no one part of the video and then the next part of the video. It's one short clip after the other, after the other, after the other. And so every single video is a new context. Every single time is a different video by a different creator. So even if you could say, because some people do give the excuse, they're like, oh, but my TikTok For You page is actually kind of valuable. Like, I get some good gym videos on there and I learn a lot. It's like, no, you don't. You aren't learning anything from it because 99% of it is just going to be forgotten instantly. You are forgetting every video that you're watching because every single time you scroll through video and the next video and the next video, it all gets jumbled up in your head. It's a totally different context, new account. Your brain can't remember all of that information, so it gets jumbled up and you don't remember anything. The very nature of it just goes against the way your brain usually processes information because there is no storyline, there is no timeline to TikTok. It's just an endless, bottomless pit. And so while your brain is anticipating the next good video, it's releasing dopamine for that next scroll, your brain still doesn't even remember most of the videos. So think about this right now. You are basically unconscious, mindless, hypnotized when you are scrolling. And if you are spending hours and hours scrolling and you don't remember any of it, even to say that it would be valuable if you did, you have to agree right now, TikTok is a complete waste of time. I'm gonna get into the actual content later, but just looking at the nature of TikTok and scrolling, it's basically this drug that makes your mind feel good, that makes you kind of get stimulated and it distracts you for a long amount of time. And usually you don't realize that it's happening. And when you get off, you don't remember anything that you watched. So it's a complete waste of time. And you have to agree with that right now. You have to realize in your mind that scrolling is just a waste of time. And I think we all sort of know this, but it's easy to just fall into that, oh, whatever, I'll just do it for a little bit. It's just kind of fun, you know? I do it to relax sometimes during the day. Bro, it is bringing you no value. It is bringing you absolutely nothing. So it's a complete waste of time. Why are you subjecting yourself to this thing that is making you worse? That is making you waste the time that could have been spent doing things that were actually going to improve your life. And with social media, a lot of the time, it's like, if you can give any reason to do it, then you are going to do it. Your excuse could be, oh, I want to see my friends post, but it's like, bro, do your friends really even post that much? And if they do you really care? Like every time you scroll on one of those videos, like, do you remember it? Maybe you comment or something like, oh yeah, go girl, like a great post. But other than that, what are you really doing? And if you're a guy, I know for a fact your friends, they're probably not posting that much. Like, you're probably not even seeing any of your friends post anyways, so you don't even get to make that excuse. Any benefit that you could think of from TikTok, that you're getting from TikTok as a reason to keep the app, that benefit can literally be found anywhere else. So there are no copes, there are no excuses for this. You just have to acknowledge the fact that TikTok is a waste of time. And if you decide to continue to use it, then you are telling yourself that you don't give a shit that you're wasting time, that you don't care about your future self, that you don't care if you have it on your phone, if you get distracted all the time. TikTok is very powerful. They know what they do well, and they do it the best. And that is by distracting you, hijacking your brain, your dopamine receptors, your biology, so that you can stay on their app as long as possible, so that you can get their numbers up and make them more money. TikTok does not give a shit about you. All they want is for you to be distracted for as long as possible. It's not meant to be beneficial. It's not meant to be helpful, and it isn't. TikTok and scrolling is very powerful. There's a reason why every other social media platform has adopted scrolling in some way or another. It's because of how distracting and stimulating it is. It's because these companies are getting people to spend more time on their apps by using scrolling in their apps. TikTok is the absolute worst because they do it the best. They do scrolling the best, which means that they are distracting you the most and wasting your time the most. Scrolling is literally you, and I want you to realize that, and I want you to know that it's bringing you literally zero value. It's bringing you nothing. It's only taking away from your life. TikTok does an amazing job of keeping you complacent. It kind of subdues you. It allows you to be in a state of comfort that doesn't really require you to change. And this is the problem for the vast majority of people with just life in general, that their lives are kind of comfortable enough. They're good enough for them to not want more. Because TikTok doesn't just take away your time. It also takes away one of the most important things that you have, your attention. You've probably heard that saying that wherever your attention goes, that's what grows. And TikTok is the absolute perfect distraction. It keeps you comfortable, and it allows you to just distract yourself whenever you are faced with some sort of difficulty. And this is especially true with mental activities. Whenever you have to go deeper mentally to do something, you have the option to distract yourself. You have the option to scroll. Because a very big problem nowadays is that you don't have to be bored. It's actually extremely rare for anyone to ever be bored because there's always an option to distract yourself. TikTok is such a potent distraction. I see everyone nowadays just scrolling. That is what is the main distraction from any type of work. In school, when people just don't want to do their homework, they start scrolling on their phone. Because obviously homework and actually working, it requires like your mental capacity. It requires you to put in some work. And it's like us teenagers have just been wired to instantly, whenever we feel that sort of mental strain, we just go to the best distraction. We just go to scrolling. We just go to the thing that feels much easier, much more comfortable. And that's what kind of TikTok does. It keeps you in that comfortable state of distraction. Every single day when I was younger, I used to just come home, do my homework, and then scroll. And I think for a long time, and you may be able to relate to this, I felt like there was something more. I felt like inside I knew for a fact that there was something more than this, that maybe there was more to life than just like scrolling and video games, but I never really took that thought farther. I never sat down to think about that. I always just distracted myself with the next best thing, which was scrolling or video games. And since I was never in that state of like boredom or having to think about something, I was able to constantly distract myself from that idea. And this is what so many people do. They keep themselves subdued in this state of comfort, and they don't ever have to be bored, ever have to think about how their life is not actually going in a good direction. I mean, think about this right now. What if you were to spend every single one of the rest of your days of your life in the same way that you do now? Maybe you're in school or you're doing work. Just imagine the free time that you have. You spent it the same way you do now. And if you think about it, you're probably not going to be making any progress. The same day in, day out, you're just scrolling and maybe playing video games or something. But for the most part, you're scrolling. You're not just wasting time, but your attention is almost always put in some other directions, always sapped by some sort of distraction. And this is the real problem. You're distracted all the time, so you don't have to think about what you should really be putting your time towards, what you should be really doing with your life. You accept this kind of as the normal. Oh, everyone scrolls, everyone does this. And if you think about it 5 years down the line, you are the same person doing the same things. You haven't grown one bit. When was the last time you achieved something that you were really working towards? When was the last time you felt like a sense of purpose and meaning and drive? I think for so many teenagers, so many people, it's like the same thing every single day. There is no drive or passion or motivation or goals. It's just like day in, day out, you're distracted all the time. The real evil about TikTok is that it distracts you from all the important things in your life. It keeps you complacent from making progress, and you feel comfortable in this state. That's why it's so bad. It's because you think to yourself, no, it's not that bad. No, it's fine if I do this because I'll start doing all this later, and right now is the time to have fun. You're able to justify the scrolling and the distraction. But when I'm telling you this right now, I think you have to think about this yourself. Are you making any progress? Are you working towards anything? Are you going to be achieving goals in the next few years? And if the answer is no, not not really, I'm not really working towards anything, then you have to delete TikTok. You have to start changing, because scrolling distracts you from those things that you should be doing. It distracts you from meaningful work and actually working towards goals, the things that you really do care about. There's such a big problem now with, I think, people not having that like direction or purpose, or like knowing what they even want to do with their life. And I think one of the big culprits of it is just that we are in a distraction age, and TikTok is the worst of the worst. It's just the most distracting. If I were to have it on my phone right now, I would get distracted by it probably every single day. I think the worst thing to happen to you is to maybe even see videos like these, think about change, but then never do it. Or to just keep scrolling for the next 5 years, and then after 5 years, you look back and you wonder why you didn't really make any progress, why you feel directionless in life. Because it feels normal, it feels alright, but you're not actually moving. You're not going anywhere, and it distracts you from that fact, from the fact that you aren't actually making progress. And honestly, this is what you need. A wake-up call to realize that yes, this thing brings you no value, and all these things have kind of been in the back of your mind. I know they have. You've just never taken action on them, and that's the problem. It keeps you from taking action, because not only does it just take away your time, like I said, but the distraction itself that takes away your attention, it takes away the opportunity for your attention to be going somewhere else, to be thinking about how, honestly, these things bring you no value, because when you are doing them, it's really hard to realize that, and your attention could be going to so many different places that would bring you so much more benefit. Literally anything else would be better, but you're distracted, so you don't realize that truth. You don't take action. It's keeping you stagnant. It's keeping you from making progress, and that's the worst thing it's doing. But the actual content itself is also just downright terrible. TikTok is an absolutely disgusting, degenerate app. The actual content on there is terrible. I've only been talking about the nature of the app itself, but now I really want to get into the content with a focus on the sort of very sexual content that isn't regulated on TikTok, that's obviously allowed on TikTok because it's better for their site. And the other content that isn't this like sexual content that's seemingly harmless, it's usually like the most brain dead content that I've ever seen. You're not actually learning anything, like I said earlier, but even the videos that you're getting, and when I sometimes watch some other people scroll, bro, the videos are so stupid. But going back to that sort of like lustful sexual content on TikTok, it's seriously like softcore porn. It's these sort of accepted like very sexual dances and very weird trends that I know so many guys are seeing because TikTok caters this to you. The algorithm is so smart, dude. It knows exactly what you want to see. And so when you are going to be on TikTok, you are going to be seeing a bunch of like half naked women. And I know this isn't all guys, but you've probably had that experience where you're watching some other guy scroll, you're with them, maybe it's your friend, and like every 3 scrolls there's just another like TikTok thought, and then they like quickly scroll past it and they're like, nah bro, like I only get that, like I never get that, like it's so weird, why is that showing up right now? It's like, come on bro, we know that's what your For You page is giving you. You are not going to be able to get away from sexual content and lust on TikTok. And I want to show you something, and I'm gonna blur it out, but it's just insane to me how TikTok is not even trying to hide the fact that it's catering this towards all types of guys, even the really young people who are using TikTok, the young guys. They're pushing these videos out to all these guys because it's better for their app. And when I'm scrolling through this, it's crazy to me. And I know for so many of you guys, this is really what you're looking for when you're on the app. And the fact that they are advertising this, they literally want you to be watching this type of stuff. They want you to get addicted to this. And I know so many guys are on there to look for this type of content. Like you're scrolling, like acting like you're just, scrolling for fun, and then, oh, I scrolled upon a video of this girl doing this TikTok dance, and then you go like fap and watch porn. It's like the gateway that allows you to go relapse on nofap, or it's the gateway for many guys to get into porn addiction. Like this is the thing that gets them addicted to porn. Because for me, I remember when I was way younger, when I was in 7th grade, 6th grade, and when I got TikTok, I was getting advertised this content. It wasn't explicitly sexual content, but it was like this educational, like these 2 people that were doing educational sex ed. And that's kind of where I figured out about fapping and about porn, and that is what my For You page was recommending me. Bro, you just have to delete TikTok and vow not to use it again, because this isn't helping you. It's making you relapse more. If you're trying to be on nofap and you have TikTok, you are not going to succeed. Even though it's not going to fix your addiction, you need to set yourself up for success. You can't have this app on your phone that's literally a gateway into porn. If you continue to use it and you know that this is a problem for you, bro, you're just going to be losing yourself to lust. You're doing it to yourself. And this is much more serious than you think, because you think it's just this short-term pleasure that's not affecting you very much. But as it compounds over time, you seeing all this very sexual content, all these girls who are basically half naked on TikTok, and it's leading you to watch porn and relapse more, this is going to affect your mental state. It's going to affect your future relationships. You have to think about this in long term. It's disgusting, degenerate content. And I saw the title of that one Hamza video. There's even like a trend about having guys fail No Nut November. Like, that is the weirdest, most disgusting type of content. Like, what is the point of having this app, bro? It's only causing you like guilt and shame and making your mental health worse. There is no benefit to it, especially when you consider the content you're seeing. It is genuinely unhealthy. So even though it sounds stupid to say TikTok is ruining your life, when you look at the facts, when you look at how scrolling distracts you and wastes your time, but not only that, how it takes away your attention and doesn't let you grow, it keeps you complacent and comfortable, and also just the type of content that you're seeing on there, this lustful content that is not good for your mental health, all of it is making you worse every single day, not better. It's not only not giving to you and not giving you value, it's taking away from you. And so even though I know this is a compulsive, addictive behavior, and it's very easy to continue scrolling after watching this video, if you've made it this far, I know for a fact that you care about this, that this is something that you want to take seriously. And I think quitting TikTok is the first step. Even if you don't quit any of the other apps, even if you still use Snapchat or Instagram or something, please just delete TikTok first, because it's the worst of the worst. But I think if you know about why you should delete TikTok, you know about why you should delete all the other apps. And so while quitting TikTok is an amazing first step, I know so many of you are going to be asking, like, what do I do after I quit TikTok, after I quit social media? What's the next step? How do I actually start improving my life? And I'm going to be releasing a video on that very soon, so scroll down, subscribe, stay posted on that. So thank you for sticking around to the end of this video, and I hope you actually make change. Never stop improving. You'll be grateful for it later.